I got a hold of a book. Oh, Scientology.
Hit me!
Party at the Church of Scientology.
Let me drop some science on Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard's weird sci-fi philosophy.
They cloud theology and top secrecy, technology, mythology, and no apology.
1952 was when it all began. Started on a bet by a frustrated man.
His books weren't selling, so L. Ron thought fast. He started his own religion and make a lot of cash.
Alien rulers, past lives tone scales, copywritten text, and scary emails.
Shutting up the critics, core battles left and right, mysterious deaths in the middle of the night.
Personality tests, e-meters narking on, Times Square recruitment from dusk to dawn.
All this from the guy who wrote Battlefield Earth. Salvation for a fee, let's see what your soul's worth. There's a place in Florida where you got friends. What help you transcend if you give us those ends. Party at the Church of Scientology. Don't call it a cult, you just don't understand. Write us a check and take our hand. Party at the Church of Scientology.
Actors are a target for their army of elite. They feed their self-esteem and make them feel complete.
They mess with their minds, just look at Tom Cruise jumping on the couch during Oprah's interviews.
John Travolta fights Thetans in his Florida estate, piloting his plane, Dianetics books on tape.
Bet counts past lives in a temple in Bel Air. Katie Holmes stays home and plays pregnant solitaire.
Isaac Hayes still pays to reach that upper level state, but left South Park when they hated on his face.
Sonny Bono made donations, should have bought better skis. Dougie Fresh recruits haters on the mic as EOCs.
Juliette Lewis, Jason Lee, and Shaka Khan. Because of L. Ron, all their money is gone.
Chikorita, Kirstie Alley, and Nancy Cartwright host weekly prayer circles under UFO headlines. Once you step into the temple, your troubles will be gone. We'll get you back on track, everybody sing along. Party at the Church of Scientology. Don't listen to the lies, you know they're all untrue. So why not come right down, cause we're waiting for you. Party at the Church of Scientology.
So that's Scientology, PSCUDO-RELIGI, one you've heard, so now you know. They drain your cash fast, so as long as you agree, you can put a price on freedom when it's coming COD. Okay, they ruin lives, and it sounds like science fiction. What about Noah's Ark, Jesus, and the crucifixion? Faith is subjective, you can't say who's right or wrong, though I'll probably end up missing just for writing the song. Hey, did you guys hear that the Easter Bunny's bringing Bigfoot to the meeting tonight?
All right, everybody, it's Cult in the Satanic Panic. We do it every Thursday. You know the drill. I'm flying solo tonight. Probably, maybe for the best, because I kind of got a lot to go over this evening. More fucking bullshit in the anti-Scientology community. Here we fucking go. This is in the comments of one of the videos for one of the SPTV videos. SPTV is this kind of roundtable that a bunch of people in the anti-Scientology community, including Aaron Smith-Levin, Mark Headley, and others, are involved in. I'll read this out here. Today I just learned that Goldie has been emailing viewers and telling them that she fell on her sword and resigned as a mod because someone said she said the N-word once. This is why it's a really bad idea to allow mods to collect email addresses of viewers. I generally feel bad for the folks only getting their info from her, but I guess she's her own little cult leader now. You're partially right. And then it's just like, whoa, really? Yep. She also claimed that most of the SPTV creators were fine with it, which is demonstrably untrue. I don't know about that. Around a dozen were horrified and demoted her within a few days of each other, and then a couple more paragraphs of sympathy. Here's another comment. It was in response to that. It's like, Aaron was made aware of all of this months ago. That's Aaron Smith-Levin. That's who we're going to be talking about a little bit more here today. During the peak of the Danny Masterson, not David Miscavige trial, the Danny Masterson trial, he was emailed by members of the group, a group of very concerned SPTVers, and his attitude was simply along the lines of OSA, that's the Scientology Office of Special Affairs, does this stuff all the time. Basically saying that the claims of racism from one of their mods was the Scientology Operation of Special Affairs, and didn't once acknowledge any of it, which makes me think he never even checked the Gab profile, which he was sent a link to. Yikes. Their fucking one of their main admins was on Gab, like active on Gab. Okay, that's interesting. I lost all respect for Aaron when that happened. I have unsubscribed to 90% of SPTV now. 90%, that means of the creators in SPTV. It's like a group clout chase, so far as I can tell. The fact that it has taken fringe members to have to get the information out there is so damning of the group as a whole, and it shows their stances of allyship are in name only. I wrote an article about that. The creators who removed her already before Michelle highlighted this are the ones I feel sorry for. The ones who have waited until now or simply refuse to acknowledge the literal mountains of evidence that they have bring shame to all of them. Well, Aaron's brought shame to himself prior to this. Unless they actually address it, I do not trust that they actually think she's a problem. I think they will change mods to regulars we see often and recognize for a few weeks, and then she'll come back under a different name or maybe the same one without any sort of acknowledgement. However discreet, I won't trust any of the bigger channels that got us into this mess in the first place. Most of them are about the money anyway. And then this is she sent an email and she said she stepped down. So unfortunately, the bigger channels did not get rid of her. At least she finally did the right thing. What a fucking mess. So basically, and I'm digging into this a little bit more. I'm trying to find out more of this on this. Hopefully I'll have an article on this by the weekend in the Defamation Times. Wasn't just one incident. This gal's Gab profile is a mess. And they knew about it and they didn't care. Because of course they didn't. So we're going to dig into a little bit of, I'm going to dig into some Aaron Smith-Levin here. Here's a recent video he made that I found, which I found kind of interesting. It says, breaking my no politics rule. My take is that he already broke his supposed no politics rule when he had Alex Stein on. Alex Stein is a virulent anti-queer bigot and is famous for it, and was palling around with old Marjorie the Gathering for a while. Pretty sure he broke his no politics rule there. But let's take a look at this video. It's a little bit long, and then I have some other content to show you. Some of it has been outlined in my previous article about this guy. Some of it is not. What a fucking mess.
Okay,
my name's Blake.
do you want to go to war, Malaki? I'm for real. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Aaron is right here, everyone. Thank
God, I
you
hate
for
that
joining
intro.
me for a little bit more SPTV. Let's talk about politics. Okay, no, we're not here to talk about politics, but we are here to talk about my no politics rule on this channel, which, by the way, is a rule that I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of the fact that I have, for my own reasons and for my own sanity and the sanity of all my viewers, chosen to never interject anything about partisan politics, national level politics, hotly divisive issues, culture war issues.
Except that you had Alex Stein on for a long interview where you glad-handed with him. That's a culture warrior. This guy's like, he's full of shit. This guy's like, he's fucking hiding the ball here.
Never even allow mention or joking or ridiculing or discussion of anything like that on my channel. I recognize it's not what my viewers come to me for. I myself watch a ton of YouTube. I watch politics stuff. I watch news stuff. I watch non-politics, non-news stuff. I like getting my politics from the political talking heads, and I like getting my news from news people, even like pop culture YouTube news people. I do not like getting my politics from the people I go to for entertainment. And I guess I consider the people, in some ways, I also consider some of the news people to be entertainment. Like Philip DeFranco is a guy who does current events news. I enjoyed his content a lot more when he stopped interjecting his own personal politics into his coverage of current events. I still watch his channel, but I don't actually enjoy it because I don't like hearing all about
Wait, you could just not watch his channel.
Politics. I like hearing about the current events. I can make up my own mind about my own politics. Okay, what the hell are we talking about? Guys, I have over the years gotten a lot of requests from political personalities, political newsy political personalities to come on their programs and talk about Scientology specifically. I just became overwhelmed with the urge to make sure my mic was plugged in. Okay, we're good. I have received requests from, I'm not going to name names right now, but people that you guys would recognize who are known for their political beliefs and for their, their programs are talking politics. I got to tell you guys, I love when these people want to talk about Scientology. And I'm talking about both on the left and the right. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this video was to get
I doubt people on the left are hitting this guy up to be on this show. It was just a real quick look into this guy. Like if you have like just the quickest look into this guy, you figure out real quick who and what he is.
Guys, on who is it that who are like high profile news people or YouTube entertainment news people who you consider to be furthest to the left and
well, enough of him here is that like we never really cover him. I like chose to today because of the rift in his community, and because like I'm workshopping some stuff in my own head for an article I'm writing. So I figured maybe taking the first hour of this stream to kind of go through some stuff and maybe listen to what some of you have to say about it too would be good.
Furthest to the right, because I'm curious to know furthest to the left and furthest who you consider to be furthest to the left and furthest to the right. Because I'm curious to know if my opinions on this match up with your guys' opinions. And guys, you can burn up the live chat with your answers to this, or even, the comments down below.
Wait, he's like, I can't, he's like, I can't tell who's on the left and who's on the right. I'm going to see if you agree with me. Get the fuck out of here.
For me, almost all of the media I consume is on YouTube. Even if it's an actual news personality, I'm only watching them if they're on YouTube, if they have a YouTube channel, if clips of the news are on YouTube. I watch all my stuff on YouTube.
That's a problem if that's where you get your news and opinion exclusively from. That is a huge fucking problem and a huge fucking red flag. For me, the far left, in my mind, is represented by Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, and the Young Turks. To me, it's hard. That's like the center left, or like maybe a little left of the center left. Like, has this guy ever even watched the Majority Report? The Majority Report's to their left.
Think of someone who represents more of a leftist, progressive. Some would say socialist. I don't think those guys are socialist, but I think Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks are pretty much the furthest to the left that I can think of. But I also don't know.
But that's because this is his I'm telling you, this dude is, I'm telling you, you watch this. Who do you think he thinks is in the center if that's the furthest left? The furthest left, but not social. Yeah, this is, I didn't watch this, but I knew this was going to be a fucking trash fire. And I know this isn't our usual Scientology content, but the potato, it's all one fucking potato.
Know whether I think about these things the same way that others do. On the right, when I think of who are the big personalities furthest to the right, I think of Ben Shapiro. I think of Matt Walsh. I think of Steven Crowder.
Look at, he's got this whole list of names of people on the right, but he fucking just named one like thing, and it's the Young Turks. They're like, just like, there might be like progressives maybe.
There are people that I would consider so far to the right that I wouldn't even consider going on their show. Someone like a Nick Fuentes, I wouldn't be caught dead talking with Nick Fuentes about Scientology.
But wait, you didn't put Matt Walsh in that group of people that you think is so far right you wouldn't go on their show? That's something.
Or anything else. And
yeah, he's seeking out fucking Nick's content probably. I mean, I do too, but for probably a different reason. I'm
going to take a look at the live chat here. Please let me know, guys. I'm looking at the live chat real time. I see Tucker Carlson. Okay. Yes. Okay. Tucker's associated with the right. See, some of these guys.
Tucker's associated with the right. Tucker, great replacement. Carlson is, associated with the right.
People associate with the right, criticize the right. And I'm never quite sure, because I don't spend a lot of time watching the content, whether they're criticizing the right from the right or are they criticizing the right from the center. I got to be honest, I don't watch enough Tucker Carlson to know do you guys consider Tucker Carlson to be more to the right of Ben Shapiro? Because I don't think that I do, but I also
the difference is in like form more than in like ideology and content. Like, this guy is an idiot. This guy, oh my God. But he's also like, he's like, I get all, basically he's telling us that the YouTube algorithm is fucking how he gets his politics. And that's crazy.
Myself to be an expert in these personalities. I only tend to see YouTube highlights or stuff like this. Okay. Breaking points. Do you guys consider breaking points to be further to the right of Daily Wire, for example? And I'm looking at the live chat. Hannity. Yes. Do you guys consider Hannity's more of a corporatist though, isn't he? He's a kind of a Republican.
Hannity's a right winger. He's like a
corporatist, but look, there's no doubt Hannity's conservative. Is Hannity further to the right than Ben Shapiro?
Why is Ben Shapiro his touchstone? Is it because he's consuming a lot of Ben Shapiro?
Pretty much right in the same area.
Oh, that's what I fucking said in my article about him. Not that necessarily that he was going to go like the right wing grift shift, but that I thought that he was going to try to like join the sort of heterodox IDW space. And I still think that's where he's going from here. Like there's no more IDW, but you sort of, people around here kind of know what I'm talking about, I think.
Let me see. I'm seeing Hannity's establishment. Yeah, establishment, corporatist. A lot of people who are associated as either Democrat or Republican are really establishment corporatists for the most part. And here's why I'm talking about this, guys. Because, okay, someone's saying Tucker's on the extreme right.
Yes.
Okay, but here's what I want. Here's one thing I want to know from you guys. Who's further left than the Young Turks?
I would even say David Pakman in a lot of ways is to the left of the Young Turks. The Majority Report. They're not even, none of these people know who the fuck Hassan is. They're not going to bring up Hassan. I'm not like some Hassan stan, but he's to the left of the Young Turks, and he's to the left of Pakman, and maybe to the left of Sam Cedar. I don't know because they're just the style. Their styles are so different that it's hard to really like split the hair there between like the Majority Report and Hassan's content.
Who's further left than Cenk Uygur?
I am. And I'm not even that far to the left.
Okay, so I'll give you some examples here.
Like his audience has no idea. Yo, this is telling that. Look at what we're learning here.
Sanders had a podcast and he wanted to bring me on to talk about Scientology. You'd better believe I'd go on.
Yeah, but Bernie Sanders has a staff and they're not going to have you on, friendo. They're going to be like, oh, he went on the Rick Wiles show. Oh, he called some lady a cunt at a cigar bar and got his ass kicked for it. Oh, let's avoid this guy.
This is a tough one. If Matt Gaetz had a podcast and he wanted to bring me on just to talk about Scientology, I would go on. And for me, I feel like I would, if Crowder wanted to talk about Scientology, I would go on. If Shapiro wanted to talk about Scientology, I would go on.
You would go on the fucking Stephen. Wait, were we?
Wanted to bring me on just to talk about Scientology, I would go on. And for me, I feel like I would, if Crowder wanted to talk about Scientology, I would go on.
Whoa, dude. Oh my God. Yo, this guy doesn't give a shit, but like Steven Crowder is like a fucking abuser and shit. It's not just his politics, it's his fucking behavior. Like he's a bad person in addition to like just having really bad politics. But maybe Aaron doesn't care so much about that because Aaron's an abuser too, allegedly.
If Shapiro wanted to talk about Scientology, I would go on.
I don't think it would be as bad a play for him to go on Shapiro. If he went on Shapiro's show to just talk about Scientology, it wouldn't be like the time he went on Rick Wiles. We wouldn't be all over that shit.
If I'm trying to think of some other lefty guys. Oh, David Pakman. David Pakman is he's pretty far left, I think.
No, he's not super far to the left. David Pakman, I think my politics in a lot of ways line up with David Pakman's. I think there's places where I am to his left and like just we're dispositionally very different people.
Talk about Scientology with him all day long. Mike Rinder's going on to Pakman's show.
Pakman's got a staff. They're not going to have you on.
The live chat. Guys, I'm telling you, if Tucker wanted to talk about Scientology, I would go on. Yes, this is one I was hesitating. So Hasanabi is actually Cenk Uygur's nephew, if you guys didn't know that. Hasanabi's even further left than anyone on the Young Turks, I believe. I don't know. But you know what? His profile is so big that if
it's about the clout chase
about Scientology, I think I would go on. because why not? And this is actually why I wanted to talk about this. When I was running for Clearwater City Council, I got myself accidentally into some trouble by going onto a program that I just thought was your garden variety evangelical, a podcast program, YouTube channel called, what was it called? Well, the guy's name was Rick Wiles.
It's True News with Rick Wiles. Dude, imagine either the lie that you tell yourself or the absolute lack of care and the absolute lack of interest in looking into what the fuck you're about to do while you're running for office to go on the Rick Wiles White Power Hour.
Forget what the name of the show is. And I didn't bother doing any homework into him because didn't even occur to me to do so.
He was running for fucking office. He was running for city council, and it didn't bother. He was like, I'm not going to really look into whose show I'm going on. Rick Wiles, I would say, is more racist and more anti-Semitic than Nick Fuentes. Because for Nick Fuentes, I think a lot of it is like a performance. I don't think he doesn't believe the stuff, but I think that there's like that Nick Fuentes turns it up to piss people off. And I think that Rick Wiles is a true believer who actually tries to turn it down to like seem more culturally acceptable. So I think he is probably like more of a true believer in the anti-Semitism shit than little Nicky Fuentes is. But this is splitting the tiniest of hairs, right?
I live in Clearwater, Florida. We have a very strong evangelical population in this area. When I got invited by someone who I saw, I just casually looked at his Twitter profile and the website, and I thought, ooh, he's a big evangelical guy. Evangelicals are a constituency that I want to talk to. I know evangelicals consider Scientology to be satanic for the most part. I said,
whoa, but that's crazy too. You don't, but that's, you're feeding into, does anybody else here see what the problem with that is? That you don't want to get yourself elected on the back of a fucking satanic moral panic. It doesn't matter if it's about Scientology or not.
That I want these guys, I want to answer questions straight up, live, real time about Scientology, and let them know that I'm running for Clearwater City Council to stand up to Scientology. I thought, this can't go wrong.
My God, did you not like? What did you just Google him and start scrolling down a little bit, motherfucker? Anybody right now, go Google Rick Wiles. Just look at his Wikipedia page.
My first red flag should have been when he kept asking me about my last name before we started the program.
Whoa. Oh no, this guy's fucking got it. That's right. I don't know. I don't think this guy's like culturally or a religious Jew, but he might, his family might have like a Jewish name. Yeah, the guy starts asking you about your fucking last name a lot, and he's a fucking evangelical. You might want to be like, Oh no.
Kept asking me about the portion of my last name that was Levin. He was very interested in where that name came from. Well, guys, my name is not Aharon Levine for nothing. I am part Jewish. It's on my dad's side, so most people tell me it doesn't count. My parents were never actually married, which is why I have the two last names. So Levin is my dad's name. Smith is my mom's name. Well, anyway, I did this interview. Turns out Mr. Wiles, not a big fan of the Jews.
Oh my fucking God. Like, come on, dude.
Yikes. Scientology obviously made a huge stink about this, but so did the Tampa Bay Times. Tampa Bay Times wrote a whole big article on me going on a program with a known anti-Semite. The Anti-Defamation League even took a particular interest in this and condemned me to the Tampa Bay Times for merely going onto a program and talking about Scientology. Well, once all that occurred, I was like, ooh.
He was like, now it's time to go to the cigar shop and call somebody a cunt and get beat up by her boyfriend.
To know who you're allowed to talk to these days.
It's not who you're allowed. Like, you were allowed, sir, you were allowed to talk to him. Am I wrong? He was allowed to go on the Rick Wiles show. Nobody stopped him.
If I had known in advance that he was like literally known to be like kind of an anti-Semitic dude, I wouldn't.
Literally known to be kind of an anti-Semitic dude. That's like the fucking main thing about him.
Program. But to criticize someone named Aharon Levine for talking about Scientology on an evangelical program, you have to understand, guys, I'm ignorant to a lot of these things.
Well, then you shouldn't have been running for office. And like this is also, this right here is the sort of like, this right here is where I don't like identity politics. It's where this guy's like trying to use his like Jewish heritage to shield him from criticism of a bad decision he made. He's free to do it. But no, you could still be a dumb fuck.
I assumed that all evangelicals had an axe to grind with the Jewish folk. You know, like it's not something.
Wait, what?
It's not what I was there to discuss. Like,
wait, what?
I assumed that all evangelicals, you have to understand, guys, I'm ignorant to a lot of these things. I assumed that all evangelicals had an axe to grind with the Jewish folk. You know,
what the fuck? No. Listen, I don't really agree with a lot of like evangelicals, but if somebody is like an evangelical Christian and I meet them, I don't just immediately assume they don't like Jewish people. Yeah, fucking Athena, you're like, wait, isn't this channel? And he was running for office at the time too, so that was his job too. He has this channel and running for office, and those are fine. You know, I run a talk show host. I'm a talk show host. These are fine things to be, but yeah. If he it's his job to know shit. And I know that he's like not a political commentator, but this is Rick Wiles. This guy doesn't have it's not a dog whistle. It's like a fucking foghorn. Yeah. Evangelicals' relationship with that Jewish folks is a little more complicated, right? They think that, the fucking end of the world is going to happen and that they're going to fucking Jesus come to the Holy Land and shit. It's very complicated.
You know, like it's not something it's not what I was there to discuss. Like, now I know people are going to go, oh my God, how could you say that about the evangelicals? Because I'm woefully uninformed and uneducated on these things, you guys.
Now he's like, oh, I don't know. Well, but it doesn't take a very long time to read somebody's fucking Wikipedia.
If I have a thought or an idea about something, I'm perfectly aware that that is not necessarily an informed thought or idea. It just happens to be the idea that I have formed based on the limited amount of information or life experience I have been exposed to on.
So are you surprised that one of the mods in this guy's, like in many of the channels in this guy's little orbit was on Gab fucking saying a bunch of racist shit? Are you anybody surprised? I'm sorry, allegedly one of the mods was. Anybody surprised? Anybody shocked here?
On that particular subject. And it's one of the reasons you'll never hear me talking about politics, because even if I have a political belief, I don't have the idea that my beliefs are so firmly rooted in facts that they're worth sharing. Like, that's the kind of stuff you share with your friends. You don't like, I don't think so highly of my own political beliefs that it's something I need to change.
But this is not the same question. I mean, you're going back over old shit, but this is not the same question. One is a question of, oh, thanks for the resub, excessive subber, by the way. Thank you. They're not the same question.
In fact, it's one of the reasons I love talking about politics with friends is, I'm looking to have my mind changed about things. I'm very aware of my lack of general education on current events and historical events when it comes to geopolitical stuff. And it's also a subject I'm really, really, really fascinated about. It's one of the things that makes me regret that I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, because I feel like studying political history and geopolitics is very interesting. And I would have.
Yeah, the irate lump is like, you wanted to run for office and you don't do politics. It's like local politics, but it still matters. Like, your worldview still matters. I think it might matter more on a local level what you believe. But his whole campaign, I think, was to try to raise his own profile as an anti-Scientologist. I'm not convinced that he ever thought he had a chance to win. I think he saw Mark Bunker run for office. And actually, I think Mark Bunker, his profile as an anti-Scientology talking head, was reduced by being a city council person in Clearwater and now the vice mayor. Reason being, he's busy doing his job as the vice mayor of Clearwater, Florida, actually. And all accounts are he's doing a great job.
I'd love to have an opportunity just to completely immerse myself in all that. I'm seeing someone mention Jordan Peterson. Oh, that's a good one.
No, it's not. That guy's fucking, come on, dude.
If Jordan Peterson wanted to talk about Scientology, I would 100% go on and talk about Scientology with him.
Whoa. But Jordan Peterson is L. Ron Hubbard for incels, dude.
I'm seeing Valuetainment, Patrick Bet David. I really have a big problem with Patrick Bet David, not only with his, mostly with his fraudulent business practices. And yet I will tell you.
But wait a minute, you engaged in fraudulent business practices, sir.
I would go on Patrick Bet David.
That's the perfect show for you. You could exchange notes on your participation in fraudulent business practices.
David and talk about Scientology. Mark Headley's talked about Scientology with Patrick Bet David. Mike Rinder's talked about Scientology with Patrick Bet David. And I think there's something to be said. If someone has a giant platform, Patrick Bet David is a scammer. I'm seeing in the live chat. I believe that Patrick Bet David is a scammer.
If you go on there and don't call him out for being a scammer, you're a pussy, actually. Doesn't matter if you're on there to talk about Scientology. If you think he's taking advantage of people and fucking people out of their money, and you go on there and you don't say that, you, sir, are a coward.
He made his money on, predatory multi-level marketing business models, and that's just a fact. Politics aside, I don't respect his business history. Multi-level marketing as an industry is hugely problematic. One of the things that I'm at one point was somewhat publicly known for was helping Bill Ackman, who's a very well-known hedge fund manager in New York, Pershing Square Capital, research Herbalife. Bill Ackman had $1 billion bet that Herbalife would essentially go out of business. I think Bill was right about the problematic nature of Herbalife's business practices. He was not right in the idea that Herbalife was so uniquely bad that they and they alone, aside from the overall multi-level marketing industry in general, would somehow be held accountable. No, like Herbalife's sins are the sins of the entire MLM industry. They weren't uniquely bad enough to be shut down.
I think this guy, it was like real estate fraud this guy was like involved in and shit. I'm not kidding. Like, this dude is a piece of shit.
Go out of business. But anyway, I feel like I've become somewhat, I don't like to use the word expert, but if I were to use the expert, I would say expert in the multi-level marketing space. And I don't respect people who make their money in the multi-level marketing space. It's just a fact.
And so you'd go on his show and glad hand with him and talk to him about Scientology.
Patrick Bet David is an MLM guy. Grant Cardone isn't purely speaking an MLM guy, but he's definitely MLM adjacent. And you guys know I got problems with Grant Cardone for completely other reasons, most of which have to do with Scientology. Because
he's a Scientologist. Otherwise, he's indistinguishable from the other guy who you said he'd go on the show with.
So the reason this is called breaking my no politics rule is because I am going to start going on some of these political channels to talk about Scientology. And I don't care what the politics are of the platforms that I go on. I'm not running for city council anymore.
Why don't you? Whoa, dude.
Not worried about being shamed in the press for who I talk to. I do, however, have care for my established audience. And I don't want to turn my audience off in the way that Philip DeFranco has turned me off. I still watch Philip DeFranco. I just don't like him or respect him all that much anymore because he won't keep his damn politics out of his out of his pop culture current events coverage.
Does anybody here know Philip DeFranco? What are Philip DeFranco's politics? Is he liberal? Is he more of the? I don't know anything about him. I've never heard. I may have heard the name before, but this is the first I've heard of him. He's okay. Gotcha. Okay. Like yeah. Like kind of an establishment sort of Democrat kind of guy.
And I don't want to do that to my audience. So you're not going to hear me talking about any politics on my channel. I'm going to stick to that rule, but I'm going to start taking invitations for other to appear on other channels, many of which are very political in nature, specifically to talk about Scientology. And that's what I wanted to say. And so because of that, I wanted to also hear from you. Who do you guys consider to be the most left? And who do you guys consider to be the most right?
He already asked that. He didn't get shit on the left. His audience appears pretty, it just seems like there's a little something going on here.
And I don't mean like in the world. I mean like in the people, whether it's the news space, the podcasting space, the YouTube space, folks whose content is specifically political in nature, present day, like, you know, I'm talking about people who currently post content, the Megyn Kellys of the world. Megyn Kelly's done a lot of Scientology coverage.
He keeps everybody he brings up is on the right.
Spoken with Megyn Kelly on the subject of Scientology. I would certainly do that.
This guy's either an idiot or he's not doing a very good job of hiding the ball, right? He may think he's hiding the ball, but he's not doing a very good job of hiding the ball.
I'm just looking for some other names. Bernie Sanders, I would go on with. Cenk Uygur, I would go on.
Bernie Sanders doesn't have a podcast.
Alex Jones, look, guys, he's probably one of the most controversial people in the space. If Alex Jones wanted to talk about Scientology, I think I'd go on, guys.
Why?
Jimmy Dore, that's a good one. I would go on with Jimmy Dore. I'm looking in the chat here. Cumia. Is that Anthony Cumia, like of Opie and Anthony? I don't know anything about Anthony's politics, but I feel like I would go on with him just because I know who he is. I see someone saying most left, the Cavernacle. Never heard of those guys.
Yeah, but the Cavernacle doesn't do Cavernacle's like a fucking video essays.
That's a person I don't know. Let me see. And let me see. Jimmy Dore again. Trigonometry. I don't know what those guys' politics are, so I don't know about that.
Oh God. He's going on trigonometry. Oh no. Chris Shelton already went on there to call like social justice a cult.
And I almost don't care about their politics unless to me, Nick Fuentes is just a straight up racist. And I'm not the guy who calls people racist just because I don't agree with them. Okay. To me, I grew up in a time in the 80s when racist meant something very specific. And to me, that's still what racist means. Okay. It means something very specific. And what I've seen of Nick Fuentes just makes me sick, and I would never go on with him. If Meghan Markle...
Meghan Markle is not going to have you on.
If Meghan Markle wanted to bring me on and talk about Scientology, I would do it. I don't care. Guys. I would even go on with Meghan Markle.
What do you mean? I don't care. I would even go on with Meghan. She's just famous.
That is funny. Let's see.
Sim for the devil. Thanks for the resub.
Do you have a plan for avoiding political questions? Someone says. Here's the thing. I would say, look, I'm not a political figure. I don't talk about politics. I grew up in a cult. What do I know? I grew up in a cult. How could I know enough to talk about politics? But it's not that I'm afraid. Oh, Bill Maher. I would go on with Bill Maher. Bill Maher has become the the preeminent get off my lawn guy. I actually watched Bill Maher's, he's got a YouTube thing he's doing now. What's it called? Club Random.
Yeah. It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse with worse decorations.
And he talks to some great guests. The problem is Bill tends to do most of the talking instead of listening. But because he has such an eclectic roster of guests, I do enjoy watching some of Bill's Club Random content. Let's see. Oh, things like, so someone mentions that Cenk Uygur for years was denying the Armenian genocide. That's a perfect example of something I'm not capable of knowing about, and I'm not capable of knowing enough about it to care about it. I don't mean to care about the genocide. I mean to care about...
I don't need to care about genocide. Ultimate fucking poison fucking radical centrist take. I don't need to care about the genocide, everybody.
Opinions about something like that. Like, so you understand, this is from Keystone Pirate. I'm not commenting on the truth or falsity of your statement in any way, shape, or form, because I couldn't possibly know enough to do so. And that's an example of a level of research I would never even bother doing before appearing on someone's program.
Wait, what? That's a what? But your job is to be a talk show host.
About Scientology. Do you know what I mean? If I'm going on to talk about Scientology, why do I actually care about any problematic beliefs or positions someone...
But you just said that you do when it's Nick Fuentes.
May have taken. Now, I understand I've already said that a Nick Fuentes for me is a line too far. So clearly I'm drawing a line. But for me, the line is just overt, blatant racism. I mean, for me, that is an important line. Politically speaking, the country's extremely divided. The culture war is a real thing. And yet
he had Alex Stein on, by the way.
Within that culture war, within the arena of the culture war, there's still absolutely, reasonable people can disagree on very important basic things. Blatant overt racism is something I draw the line there, and I will not just be like, I'm just here to talk about Scientology, but you guys know what I'm saying. I think I already said I would absolutely go on with Tucker. Carl Benjamin. Oh, Carl Benjamin. Is that Sargon of Akkad?
Oh, no. Oh, God.
God, what happened to that guy? He disappeared.
He ran for office, and a lot of bad things happened, actually.
Yeah, he used to pop up on my feed all the time.
Oh, I wonder why that was.
Steve Britton, because you're asking about him, I feel like that's a very loaded question. My answer, without knowing what Carl's been up to lately, is like, I think I would go on with him. I mean, I haven't heard a peep out of that guy for like 5 years. Didn't he run for some office over there in the UK?
Yeah. You should look into that. Actually, don't bother. Fuck it. It's above your pay grade.
I don't even remember what his main things were. I don't remember.
Gamergate, feminists are bitches, male supremacy, white supremacy, Brexit.
Main issues were. But anyway, without knowing more, I feel like I would go on with Sargon. I don't really know what happened to the guy, though. I'm seeing people mentioning Vaush. I recognize that name, but I don't know who that is.
That's crazy. Yeah. You are. Your algorithm is fucking slanted if you're not getting fed Vaush content.
Know who Vaush is. I'm looking at some other ones here. Tucker, Hannity. Hannity's a weird one, not just because of his political beliefs, but because of his interview style. Like, he's a real bomb thrower, and he's a real kind of a bully in his interviews. Unless he already thinks he likes what you have to say, then he'll let you run. But if he doesn't, he just cuts you off all the time. I mean, I certainly feel like if Hannity really wanted to just do a segment on Scientology, I still feel like I'd go on with it. No big deal.
It's weird also that the mainstream news figures he's talking about are all from Fox. Or have been previously associated with Fox.
I'm seeing some other Brian Taylor Cohen, Dave Rubin. I'd go on with Rubin.
Oh, of course you would.
Sam Cedar. You know what? I'd go on with Sam Cedar. I feel like
they wouldn't have you on, dude. Sam Cedar would probably go after you.
He's I'd go on with Sam Cedar. I've seen his stuff. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Oh boy, yeah. Because of all the Israel-Palestine stuff. If I feels like that creates a whole other thing of having to dig in, like, oh boy, like the space has gotten, the political, the news space, the political space right now is very, very, very hot and toxic. But even then, so this might not, Brian Taylor Cohen. I'm not even sure who that is, honestly. Anyway, reason I wanted to do this video is because I'm about to jump off right now and go record a program with one of these channels. And I'm pretty sure we're not doing it live. I'm pretty sure this is pre-recorded, but it's going to be a full hour-long program. And I'm told it's going to be about Scientology. And I guess we'll see how it goes, guys. Hopefully I'm not getting sanctioned by the Anti-Defamation League next week, because I don't know. I just decided I'm going to go on shows that want to talk about Scientology. And I'm not going to worry myself about the politics, because that's not why I'm on the show.
This guy went on Cuomo?
Yeah, guys. That's pretty much it.
Trying to get my mom to stop watching Cuomo.
Super chats here, and then we'll rock and roll. Zigma 182 wants to know, all good points. By the way, what is Ligma? You know what Ligma is. Thank you, Zigma. Will Gunn, as long as the interview stays on Scientology, then who cares? Spread the word to as many people as possible. Exactly. That's exactly the point. Danny L. Illuminati, the right wing and the left wing are both wings on the same bird, and that is the problem. Well, thank you very much, Danny. I know exactly what you're saying. Kelly at large. It's never too late to get
Oh shit, get him, Kelly.
to college, Aaron. I'm starting again in January to pursue a master's in social psychology. Well, that's great. I mean, I do study an awful lot of material. And I do feel that it's not necessary to necessarily be enrolled in some sort of an academic program in order to learn about those subjects. I just feel, I guess what I mean is Kelly, when you're in college, particularly at—
Yo, this video is a trash fire. This is his breaking my no policy. This video is a trash fire, Juco.
college appropriate age.
He was like listing off a bunch of people who he thinks are political figures, and they were all like right wingers. Like just mentioned the Young Turks, and he's like, oh, they're far left. And then it took them forever to get to anybody else on the left. This is fucking so fucking clear. Like what that this guy's like views on like world events have been poisoned by the YouTube algorithm.
It's you sort of have an opportunity to focus all of your attention intensely on learning about a subject. And that's what I wish I had the opportunity to do. I know anyone can always go back and learn about anything. And I do. I feel like I do. But that brief window in time where you don't necessarily have a job, you don't have a house, you don't have a spouse, you don't have children.
This guy's in, if this guy wanted to go back to university, he's in a perfect position to do it because his work schedule is so flexible.
All that stuff.
He just doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to go to fucking university because he probably thinks it's woke.
Focusing on just the knowledge. That's what I say. I regret not having had that opportunity. Thank you very much, Kelly. Keep it even and go both sides. I think that's fair. That's what I would very much like to do. That's one of the reasons I wanted.
But the fucking people of the left are going to look into you and they're not going to have you on. Too much fucking. I'd have him on. Oh, if I could trick this guy into coming on. Oh God, he would get very angry at me and hang up very quickly.
Feedback on who do you guys see as furthest to the left in the current political news, media, entertainment space? Who do you guys see as furthest to the right? And I would love to try to appear on an equal number of programs on both sides. Joni Cummings, I consider Owen Morgan Telltale is on the left. I happen to know he watches your channel. Owen Morgan. Well, Joni, I don't think I'm familiar with his material specifically, but if you email me a link to some of his stuff at growingupinscientology@gmail.com, I'd be happy to watch it. And if he happens to want to do a chat on Scientology, tell him I'd love to.
Wait, this guy doesn't even have his own .com?
Tim Pool would
be a great
person to have a conversation with on this topic. That's a great example of someone. I'm never quite sure where Tim Pool lies on the spectrum.
He's a reactionary. He's a dude. He's, oh my God.
He's such an, I want to call it, he's kind of an angry guy. I find it hard to watch his content because he always seems so angry. And also he's always on with like 6 people and it's hard to know like which one of these people do I actually want to hear from? So he's got like 6 people around that table or something like that. And then they'll have on a guest. And I'm like, whose opinion am I tuning in for here? Am I tuning in to hear what the guest has to say? Am I tuning in to hear what Tim has to say? I would 100% go on with Tim Pool if we wanted to talk about Scientology. The Adam Friedland Show. Not familiar with that one, but C.O. Bilf, if you want to send me a link, I'd be happy to watch. Would you still post clips of your interviews? I think not. I think if I'm going to go on someone's channel, it should be with the intention of reaching their audience. And in order to stick to my no politics rule, I feel like I'd be breaking that rule if I brought that content, that creator, that personality onto my channel that you guys didn't ask to see that. And it's one of the reasons I think it's okay for me to start going on these programs. It's like, you know what? I'm going on to reach them and their audience. And if my audience happens to see that, then that's great, but I'm not going to force it on them. I think that's a respectful that to me seems to be the right.
Yeah, except for Alex Stein, of course. Yeah. Oh, and Rick Wiles. Anyone on the Lex Fridman show too.
Hassan Piker. Well, actually, Hassan Piker is Hassanabi, who we were talking about. I think his Twitch handle is like
Hassan is not going to invite you on his fucking channel. Or if he did, it would be amazing because I'm not a big fan of Hassan's content. I don't watch his stuff. He seems like an okay guy. Like I don't have a problem with him or whatever. Certainly don't want his community coming after me. But I think Hassan would probably do his homework on this guy and go after him.
So Hassan is pretty Hassan is about the furthest left person I can think of. And I still think I would go on and talk. I find him very hard to watch, even when he goes on my favorite shows. Like one of my favorite comedy podcasts is Flagrant with Andrew Schultz. And they had Hassan on not that long ago. For a guy who makes his living talking to the camera, Hassan was a horrible guest. Anyway, I'm talking shit about the guy. I don't like listening to Hassan. I haven't liked almost anything I've ever heard come out of his mouth. But I would still talk to him about Scientology.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Hassan's content either, but that doesn't mean I just don't watch. I just don't watch a lot of fucking people who do what I do. I don't watch a lot of streamers. Sorry, other streamers. I'd love to be part of your community, but I just don't. I'll check out like poly people. I'll check out like people in our like little clique or whatever, because we're a cult in our own way.
Because that's what I do, folks. I talk about Scientology. All right, that's it for now, guys. I got to jump, and thanks for hanging out with me. Folks.
Oh, he does listen to the Majority
guys,
Report. Sam always says that.
Please let me know down below. Who do you guys see as being representing the furthest left?
So, that was a fucking shit show. This guy should not go on political shows. And I think he will, if he does start going on political shows, what's going to be. So I'm sort of working on an article. It's more about the thing I was talking about earlier, about how one of their mods has like this Gab account where they were saying hell of racist things. And to their credit, some of the people in this community got rid of that person as soon as they found out it was going on. Drina Marie, thank you for following. And to not his credit, Aaron was told about it and fucking basically didn't care. Didn't care this person was saying racist shit on Gab. Even accused the people saying that this person was saying racist shit on Gab of being in cahoots with the cult of Scientology. Which they were not. This person was saying racist shit on Gab. And you shouldn't have that person as a mod because she was saying the N-word. Like, yikes. But and I've been workshopping this in my head a little bit. It's not just about Aaron, but it's about sort of the place people land. If they leave Scientology, or even if they become interested in the abuses of the cult of Scientology, they land in a community that this guy's like a big person in. My impression so far is that after a bunch of things happened, actually, Tony Ortega, friend of the show, stepped away from the community. Doesn't really seem to be mingling too much with these people. But what they find is this community that is full of ex-Scientologists and like anti-Scientologist people and people that are maybe fans of some of the content creators. And it's not a great community. It's bad. It's bad for a couple of reasons. One, I'll start with the easy one. One is they display a lot of the same sorts of behaviors that the cult of Scientology displays. They are very in-group, out-group focused. They will immediately accuse you of basically being what Scientology would call a suppressive person. They'll just say you work for the Office of Special Affairs, Scientology's fucking spy organization, essentially, if you say a sideways word about their community as a whole, or any of the individuals, especially the content creators. I was over and over and over again accused of working for the Office of Special Affairs and excommunicated from every Facebook group about Scientology, at least the ones that, on my government name on Facebook. Is when I put that article out. I was not sharing the article in those groups. Other people found it, figured out who I was, and kicked me out. I didn't post it there. I wanted to post it and let it ride, let it do its thing, and it did. It got a lot of traction. I got a lot of views on it. It's the second most viewed article I've ever put out, and it's a pretty good article. Yeah, we can talk about Karen in here. They find this space, and where there are gatekeepers, Karen being one of them, Karen de la Carriere. She opened the gate for me at one point, and it gave me access to people. I don't think we would have gotten our interview with Tony Ortega had Karen not vouched for us. And I can say I had off the record conversations with Karen about some situations involving Aaron. I obviously cannot tell you what we talked about. And after a while, once it became clear that people were circling the wagons around Aaron, no matter what his behavior was, Karen became one of those wagons circling around Aaron Smith-Levin. And it kind of sucks that if you leave Scientology and you're looking for community online, these are the fucking people you find. You find a group of people with a clear hierarchy of who's important and who's not, who's in the club and who's not, who interviews who. And not only that, if people are not towing the line, if people are saying negative things, negative true things about some of the people in this, especially if it's Aaron for whatever reason, you get fucking kicked out. You get kicked out. And in my case, I was contacted by several private investigators, one of whom at first I thought was working for Scientology, but I started to get the fucking impression by the end of our conversation that they were working for Aaron, or that maybe they weren't really a private investigator. They're just somebody Aaron knew and was trying to fucking pump me for information about a situation that I've talked about previously on here that I can't report on because I can't verify it independently. So that's the one thing that's going on there. But the other thing that's going on, and it sort of dovetails with some of the other stuff we're talking about, is when you leave an authoritarian group, a high demand, high control group, and you enter a space that does not, like by design, will not talk about the effects of authoritarianism, like specifically will not talk about the effects of authoritarianism because it's considered to be too political, you are fucked. There's nothing there. It is a hollow shell that is being used for people to make money. And that's it. It's sort of along the lines of the analysis that in the conspirituality book, actually. And I wonder if I'm stealing this from those guys. They wouldn't mind. We're pals on Twitter, right? But it's if you kind of refuse to let people talk about essentially the authoritarian nature of an organization like Scientology and compare it to, other authoritarian groups. If you compare them to like old authoritarian groups from history, it's fine. But if you start talking about anything current, you start mentioning that a lot of them voted for Trump, if they're allowed to vote at all. If you start saying any of that shit, they do not want to hear that. And so it leaves a vacuum in that community. And then the vacuum, unfortunately, it just becomes about a clout chase. And then the best clout chaser is Aaron. And as we've seen, as I've reported, at least his behavior would lead me to believe that his politics are fairly reactionary, as well as Chris Shelton, who has been more overtly reactionary in his politics, going on the Trigonometry podcast. So when you end up in this space and they force you to not talk about politics, then it's devoid of some of the things you need, I guess, when you get out. You need to understand what authoritarianism is and how it works, be it from a government or be it in an abusive relationship and anything in between. And lacking that, you end up in a clout chase where it's just all drama and in-group, out-group dynamics. And that is the worst place for you to land if you have just left an authoritarian group, a high-control, high-demand group like Scientology. And I've been workshopping these ideas in my head. I'm trying to get some help from some academics that I know to sort of more finely tune what I'm thinking about, and I'll be publishing on that hopefully this weekend, but more realistically probably by next weekend, because what's going on over there is fucking bad. What's going on over there is fucking bad, and nothing's going to pierce it. And I don't have a big enough media platform to offer an alternative. And it doesn't look like anyone else would even try. And that sucks, because I feel like if somebody left an authoritarian group, this isn't a perfect place, but if somebody left an authoritarian group and they landed here, I feel like it would be a lot better for them than if they landed in that anti-Scientology clique. We have a clear out group here, but it's people who engage in high control, high demand group behavior. And so I feel like that would be a good place. And, you know, I have my faults. I am certainly not apolitical. I am clearly of the left, but it just sucks that these people, it just sucks that these people land in this hollow space where it's just a clout chase. And that's it. I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to have a little more fun on this, but it's been something that's been bothering me. And this recent thing that happened with their moderator that I talked about at the very beginning of the show today, and then that video by Aaron sort of crystallized in my mind what I want to write about, and hopefully I do a good fucking job, right? We'll see. My last article on Aaron, by the way, was a banger. If you've never read it, that article's a fucking banger. Yeah, I would like to be able to find a way to at least warn people off about this community, and specifically the SPTV people, but it's not just them, it's the whole community. Anyway, Jugo, thank you for the bits. We're going to move on to where we've been watching this Lights Camera Blasphemy. We're an hour 25 into this. We're going to continue this because now we're into the second hour here and we're on to the Satanic Panic. If anybody has any other thoughts on this, maybe I'll publish this part of the show on YouTube, actually. Not just, I'll publish like the first hour of the show on YouTube. If anybody has any thoughts on this or wants to give me any feedback or has any information for me about any of the things I've been talking about here, please do hit me up. Unless you're a fucking private investigator, then fuck you.